Ananta Kota Vajra Namacharya Sunahayadasa Kota Vajra Vansika House Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sita Sarita Gaura Bhakta Vijaya Sisi Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giridhavadam Kejaya Vrindavan Kejaya Mathuradam Kejaya Samayapanavadidam Kejaya Jagannapuram Kejaya Gangamaya Manamaya Kejaya Matitosi Devi Bhakta Devi Kejaya Samadeva Bhakta Devi Kejaya Nitai Gaur Premanand. All glory is to the Son. Glory is to the Son. Glory is to the Son. All glory is to Gauranga Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So, when we come together, our garden is centered on Krishna, and so we hear something about Krishna. The non-devotees also, they have in their gatherings, their parties, and they have their own objective criteria. We do have ours, which is different. Ours is centered on Krishna, so when we come together, we discuss some things about Krishna. And today, we'll be taking our text from the Bhagavad-gita as it is, chapter 6, text 17. So, a number of the people here, I've never met them before. So, and I guess that some of you also, you never met me before, correct?
Can you do an introduction?
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Bhakti Vasudeva program. We're very, very fortunate to have His Holiness Bhakti Vasudeva Swami joining us. Thank you so much, Maharaj. So, just a brief introduction of Maharaj. His Holiness Bhakti Vasudeva Swami is an ISKCON initiating guru and a member of the Spiritual Advisors Bhagavata Assembly Sabha, a partner of the GBC. He has a PhD in Applied Management and Decision Sciences, AMDS, from the Walden University of Minneapolis. He is a consummate researcher and scholar practitioner of leadership and organizational change, LOC. He has authored over 35 publications in international peer-reviewed journals and has extensive experience integrating Gaudiya Vaishnava technologies with management science. His recent Best Presentation Award-winning research presentation at the World Academy of Science, Engineering and Technology Conference in London is Sonic Therapeutic Intervention for Preventing Financial Fraud. His preaching adventures are mainly on members of the academia, professionals and youths' Krishna consciousness development. He received his first and second initiation from His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj in 1986 and his sannyas from His Holiness Jai Pataka Swami on February 26, 2009 in Sridham, Mayapur, India. So Maharaj's talks are very contagious and his his smile and his laughter is also very, very contagious. So, thank you again, Maharaj, for doing this.
So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So Bhagavad-gita, chapter 6, text 17. I chose this text for us to reflect on because this is a very popular concept in the management sciences. It's about self-regulation. Self-regulation. And some of the things we are taught in Krishna consciousness, we tend to see them as religious philosophy only. But I can go on to give you insights or instances for one concept or one phenomenon in our movement, from one to the other, how they have scientific connotations, and even scientists have developed different theories based on the theology of the Bhagavad-gita. Though in some cases they don't even make attributions, and which amounts to what we refer to as thievery in the academia or academic integrity violation. Because when you take someone's idea, you take Krishna's idea, and you don't make a reference to Krishna, you make it that this is my idea, this is my theory. But you have something you read from somewhere, you read from the Bhagavad-gita, and now you want to refine it or modify it or concept, and then you claim, this is my theory. This is what the scholars do. So, this very text, very verse in the Gita, it's also been developed by some scholars. They call it the self-regulation theory. It is the same thing what Krishna is mentioning here. I mean, it's similar cases there in the works of Rupa Goswami, in the Upadishamrita, where Rupa Goswami talks about, Vashavega, Manasakhoda Vega, Jiva Vega, Dara Pasta Vega, Etam Vega, Yovisahita Vega, Sarva Priti Sasha. Again, that concept is developed by some management scientists. They call it the general theory of crime, which stipulates that all crimes and antisocial behavior are due to the fact that people are not able to control their tongue, their belly, their mind, their anger, their genitals. So, but no attribution to Rupa Goswami. This is my theory. This is how the Western scholars, they steal so much from the Vedic tradition, and there is no attribution. And this is painful for us because we know the tradition in academia that you take someone's idea, you're supposed to make an attribution. So anyway, whatever it is, this is the world of the 21st century is basically a century of thievery. We have, even in the political arenas, all this kleptocracy that goes on in the name of governance. So also in academia, people steal other people's ideas and go to develop it and then make their money, make their name, fame, and adoration. And it's sad. But the point is, this verse is very important to academics. It's about regulating ourselves. If we want to be happy, We don't want to get too much of trouble with health values. We don't want to get into altercations with people. Yeah, we just need to be self-regulatory. So, the verse goes, Yuktaha viharasya Yukta chetasya kamasi Yukta swapna Kabodasya Yogo bhavati dukkha. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Please kindly respond to repeat. He who is regulated
He who is regulated
in his habits of eating,
in his habit of eating,
sleeping,
sleeping,
recreation, and work
recreation and work
can mitigate
can mitigate
all material pains
all material pains
by practicing
by practicing
the yoga system.
the yoga system.
So let's listen to Srila Prabhupada's purport. Extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam, sanctified food. Lord Krishna is offered, according to the Bhagavad-gita 9:26, vegetables, flowers, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption. Conscious of or not in the category of Buddhas. As far as sleeping is concerned, the Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness. And therefore, any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Atya Avyata Kalatra. A person, a Krishna conscious person, cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in this respect is Srila Rupa Goswami was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes not even that. Thakur Haridas will not even accept prasadam nor even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his beads 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interests. And thus his work is always regulated and is untainted by sense gratification. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, and wakefulness and all body activities, there is no material misery for him. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda, Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Vitali, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gaura Bhakti Nirvishis. Mancha Kampatarigacha. So, we are by default, we have to eat, we have to sleep, meditate, defense. But all of these activities, according to Lord Krishna, should be regulated. Because that is the difference. Regulation, self-regulation is the difference. One of the major differences between a human form of life and the lower primates. Because the lower primates act instinctively. And the humans, Lord Krishna is prescribing or is advocating that we have to regulate ourselves. Incidentally, just this morning, I got a WhatsApp message from one of my mentees in Delhi. I know this boy, his mother is a scientist, so he wanted to be a devotee, and the mother was very much weary. And why was she weary? Because she has heard that ISKCON people, if your child goes there, no, he will not. He's going to live in the temple and he will not go to school. So he was trying to convince the mother, but no, the woman was very adamant. And one day he had told the mother that, see, ma'am, you see, the devotees, they also study, One of our gurus, he has a PhD in management science. So the mother said, can I come and see him? And then he said, no, ma'am, he's very busy. So he tried to sidetrack the mother, but then we were having a program at one university in Delhi. And so the mother heard of it, so she came to that program. And that boy also, he was there with some of the devotees. And then he couldn't have any excuse to circumvent the monk from coming to see me, or preclude the monk from coming to see me. And so he brought the mother, and then what was her main concern? She said, oh Maharaj, can you take care of my son? Can you take care of my son? I want him to go to school. I said, yes, I'll take care of your son. Don't worry. Whatever you want your son to be, so be it. But if you allow him to practice Krishna consciousness, I will allow him, I will be responsible for him. This is somebody who does not. She doesn't do anything. The child is just turned 18. He just entered the university now. But the point is that she's very unregulated. Very, very unregulated. And so one of the problems that people have is that when they see someone who is regulated, even their own kids, when they tend to be involved in some spiritual culture, they are trying to be regulated. They feel very disturbed. It's like, where are you going? Just be on the same level with us. Where are you going? So sometimes the guidance and parents, they feel disturbed when their kids are trying to take to spiritual life. And spiritual life means self-regulation. So that boy, he sent a message to me how he said, some of the people they meet, they tell them that we're happy eating anything, having illicit sex, drinking, doing everything that you say no. We're happy. So he said, how to address this type of situation? So I just responded to him how the lack of self-regulation in human society has cost people their jobs. So I give an example of the former director for International Monetary Fund. And Strauss-Kahn, his name is Strauss-Kahn. He had a beautiful wife in France. He's from France. He studied economics. He became involved in the International Monetary Fund. He became the director eventually. But how did he lose his job? He came to New York. And in the hotel where he was staying, he got attracted to a maid. A maid, comparatively to his wife, cannot be measured. A maid. He got attracted to a maid. They called it, the authorities called the police. He got him arrested. He put him to jail. He lost his job. I said, so this is a typical case of unregulated life, spiritual bankruptcy. When people are at the top of affairs, they feel that, well, what are you talking about? I'm doing all these things and I'm happy. What you're saying people should not do, I'm doing it and I'm happy. So I said, look, this is a typical case where someone says, they're happy with what they do with their lives. They look at the end point, they put him to jail. And talking about self-regulation, we find even in modern days, I've seen personally how a number of students fail out from college. They drop out from college because of addiction to smartphones and internet browsing. A number of students fail their courses. No self-regulation means you're paving a way towards doom. And majority of the illnesses that we find people get embroiled in is because of lack of self-regulation. I know of people, I don't want to mention names, but I know of people even in New Jersey here. I know some of my friends, they told me about their parents. Parents have diabetes. They visit parents, they're eating all this stuff that the doctor said they should not eat. They try to correct them that, hey mom or dad, the doctor said they shouldn't eat this now. The parent, mom or dad will turn to them and say, huh? You don't know I'm your father. Or because you went to school, you get big degrees, now you want to control me? That is not control, it's just a matter of health concern. When parents are unhealthy, it gives a concern to the children. And if even the child wants to rectify a situation, wants to help in terms of reminding the parent about the need for them to be self-regulated, following the doctor's prescription, parents don't accuse them of trying to control them. So self-regulation is so important, and that makes us different from the animals. Animals can do anything, they can eat anything. But we humans, we have a commitment, we have a responsibility. We are responsible for our actions. And therefore there are so many laws. Why there are so many laws? The laws are there, but the government knows that people are not self-regulated. They are not going to follow the laws. Therefore there is a heavy, high-profile policing system. If you don't see the police physically, if you cross the red light, you get a ticket in your mail. Because they know people are not going to be self-regulated anymore. So this is very important for us, because the whole idea of becoming involved in devotional life is not only to go back home, back to Godhead, but to live a healthy life, to live a life of social sanity, to live a life that you don't do things and you go behind to regret. Oh, why did I do that? And then sometimes people do the wrong things, and later they regret. And then sometimes even what we call passing the buck. They blame it on the devil. But the devil, if you ask them, show me the devil, they can't show you the devil. And this is something that is untenable in the judicial system, in the law courts. You can't go and tell the judge that you did something wrong, and you say, yes, I'm guilty with reason. What is the reason? Oh, the devil pushed me. And the devil is the mind, uncontrolled mind. So Lord Krishna mentions that in our conditioned state, the uncontrolled mind is our worst enemy. And the uncontrolled mind and the uncontrolled sensory modalities, these are some of the fundamental antisocial values that propel, that push the living entity, the embodied soul, to commit acts that they regret afterwards, or to become acts that are counterproductive to self-regulation. And therefore it is important for the devotees of Lord Krishna to be very exemplary. I was asking one of my mentees, the parents are devotees, Brahmins, and so I was asking her, so we're chanting 16 rounds, and you've been following the principle right from birth. Okay, you're doing your masters now, so why didn't you think of the initiation? She said, maybe 4 to 5 years time. I said, what is the reason to wait till 4 to 5 years time? You're following the regulatory principles? No. From birth? No. She said, yes, I've been following all the regulatory principles. So I said, share with me, what is the problem that is you're holding? That's a genuine behavior for someone not to rush into that spiritual contract. But I wanted to understand the rationale behind the hesitation. And then she told me, how she has not been able to conquer peer pressure. She goes with her peers to some places, and then sometimes she eats food that is cooked with honey and garlic. I said, this is a great sense of sincerity. So I told her, you just need to be more self-regulated, because the lack of self-regulation is what enables the inability to not be practitioners of Bhakti Yoga. There are 2 classes. There is a practitioner devotee, and that is the devotee who can preach very nicely but does not practice. So I call them, and forgive me, I call them paratologists. Paras, they speak very nicely, right? If you recite the mantra to para, they can repeat it. But Paras may not even understand what you're saying, but they're very good at repeating something. So if someone is not able to maintain equilibrium in terms of their self-regulation, then they may be saying something great, something wonderful, something purifying, but it is not enough. Because you don't become a role model by saying one thing and you walk something else. In America, the common slogan is, walk, you are taught. So the devotees are supposed to be walking their talk, because that sets the ball rolling as one who is a role model. A role model is someone that others can take cue from your behavior, your thoughts, your feelings, the implementation of the strategies that you set in place for others to be able to align with for sustainable growth. So Krishna consciousness is not only about, performing activities that enable us to go back to God, but also, in addition to that, the positive side effect is that we are able to have a sense of regulation, because the senses become purified when we engage in devotional service, and we are able to come to that platform of post-conventional consciousness. Post-conventional consciousness means you come to a level in your spiritual development that nobody needs to tell you anything. You just do it. And nobody can force you to do anything against your better judgment. Not even your mind. So, this concept of post-conventional consciousness is that it's been attained by so many practitioners. You can tell them to do something that they know is wrong. The mind can dictate to them, and they follow it out. So the whole purpose of practice Krishna consciousness is to attain Krishna prema puma tumaha, to attain pure love for Krishna. But just like every allopathic medication has some side effects, even ordinary painkiller, you take it for long, it has some side effects on your liver. So just like every allopathic medication has some side effects, the cultivation of bhakti, especially chanting the holy names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Process, this phenomenon, it has side effects. But the side effects are very good. Very good side effects. So, if we want to just be happy, we should cultivate Krishna consciousness. We want to be self-regulated, we should cultivate Krishna consciousness. Because if we are not self-regulated, our own kids will point out to us one day, "Hey mom, this is not what Prabhupada said." I have seen that. See, in New York, there was this young boy, 10 years old. So the parents are close to me, and so this boy was also close to me. But he was not chanting. Of course, he was not born in Krishna consciousness. He was not chanting. So I think one time I was at New York Ratayatra, so he was also there with his parents. So he came with me, and then I left the Ratayatra. I was going to the spot where they normally at the park. I was going to get some things from him. So he said he would join me. So we are going, walking on the road. And then this boy, 10 years old boy, he said, "Maharaja, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Come on, you're my friend. Ask me any question you want." He said, "Can someone be chanting and be watching TV at the same time?" I said, "No, that's offensive chanting." You know what he said? Guess what he said? Can someone guess what he said? He said, "But my mom and dad, they do this all the time." I said, "See, you don't chant. But if now you're finding fault with your parents, when you're chanting, if then you come and complain about your parents to me, I will listen to you. But for now, just shut." Yes, so the kids are like that. They watch you and you think that they're not seeing what you're doing. Only they tend to find fault with you. Yeah. So with the self-regulation, we understand even the chanting, we have to be self-regulated because there are 10 offenses to be avoided in the chanting. When the child sees you chanting and watching the television at the same time, they are afraid of dharma, they may not say anything. Then they have opportunity to associate with our Swami, they will ask, is it right or wrong? So we have to be role models. Parents have to be role models. The older devotees have to be role models. And one of the major distractions who knows what is the major Maya on the present in our society right now? I see. Yeah, it's interesting that a number of people are beginning to know that. Yeah, so I've seen situations that really very appalling. It's talking about self-regulation. And even senior people, even some managers, they do in Japan, phone is in the pocket. The phone rings, they stop the Japan, they pick up the hand, you see them chanting back, and then they're talking on the phone. So that violates one of the 10 offenses, inattentive chanting, that is prescribed for us. So yes, self-regulation is so important. I tell devotees in Mayapasi, I have 2 phones, my Indian phone, my American phone. I'm coming to the temple for Mangalati, I don't carry it. I'm coming for Japa, I don't carry it. I keep the phones in my room. And you see, it's all these young people, they become so addicted to these technologies that they lost balance. Self-regulation. And I just met one boy the other day because I was in Edison, in one of my friends' home for I think about 5 or 6 days. He had probably paid my ticket from London to the US. So I was there, we went for some programs. And one of the programs, one of these young boys, he became so much attracted to me. So he came with his dad, we were discussing. And then he asked me one question. And guess what is the question? He was, not really a question, he was mentioning that first he asked a question, what to do with his friends coming to tell him not to chant. I said, but what exactly did they tell him? He said, if you want to be happy, not through this year chanting, just buy small, the latest model of iPhone, and you'll be happy. Yeah. A friend is trying to convince him on that. So I was just giving him instances of how people abuse the smartphones, abuse the internet. And I know people who lost their jobs because of internet addiction. They use internet to watch pornography. Then the IT guys in their organization, in their company, they will check all of the systems. And then they see the sites you visited. Fire him. It's gone. So, self-regulation. Therefore, it's important. We set the example for our children. Children will emulate. Children are very good at copying. So when they see a good thing, a good habit, a good behavior, they will also copy. They see a bad behavior, they will imitate. They see a good behavior, they will emulate. They see a bad behavior, they will imitate. Yeah, because children are very vulnerable to behavioral patterns. And environment impacts on them very heavily. And the parents constitute the environment for the children. In 1938, Professor Levin, a German psychologist, developed the field theory, which stipulates that environment impacts on our behavior, on our tendencies. What is environment? What constitutes environment? Humans also constitute environment. So we need to be more meticulous in terms of how we parent our children, how we behave before the children. If we want to create a conducive atmosphere in the country, in our communities, it starts with the family, because the family is a microcosm of the society of the nation. So, let's see what is happening in America today. That is just a reflection of what is happening in a typical American family. Lies and cheating. That's why you find leaders or people who come in power who are rapists, who are liars. That's a reflection of what is going on in a typical family in America. People are not truthful to each other. Spouses are not truthful to each other. They are not truthful to their parents. Children are not truthful to their parents. Parents are not truthful to their children. They say one thing now and they do something else. So because they're not going to challenge you, and they just bear in mind, oh, dad is like this, or mom is like this. So spiritual life, devotional life means being an acharya, being an exemplary teacher. It's not say one thing else, you do something else. The children, they mean, if you don't even see them reading books, they're hearing. And then it becomes like this. 10-year-old boy in New York who says, oh, man, mom and dad do this all the time. So, we have to see how we are regulating our lives so that our children can be emulators of our good behavioral patterns, devotional patterns. Any comments or questions?
You travel around the world, so don't you see a similarity in different parts of the world too, where regarding families, for example, all these how the children are brought up and becoming more materialistic and lies, and isn't that common everywhere?
It's something that is pervasive in society, but I've also seen kids. I know there's one of my friends' daughter. She was born in America, here in Michigan. The parents moved to Miami because of the daughter's schooling. And that girl, she is the best girl in the whole of Miami. She's gotten second initiation when she was 16. Most of the kids are, like what you said, the behavioral patterns are not. They become like a burden to the family. They become like, parents, they put the parents in anxiety. But even we should look at it. In most cases, we don't prepare for the children. Sometimes people have children who are anti-Krishna consciousness. I know even kids who went to jail for drugs. Unfortunately, yeah. Here in America, I've seen kids who went to jail, devoted kids who went to jail for drugs. And essentially, what is responsible for that? Do we blame it on Krishna? Krishna has been a devotee for 20 years, 30 years. Why are you giving this type of child? Did you perform the appropriate spiritual sanskaras? I remember vividly at 26nd Avenue when Prabhupada was to give his first initiation to his disciples. Prabhupada never mentioned anything about regulations to them. He never. He just was encouraging them to chant, and they will chant. Going for Harinam, distributing books. But during the first initiation, so somebody, one of the devotees asked, so in initiation, what is our commitment? Prabhupada said you should chant 64 rounds. He said no. They said no, we cannot do it. And then Prabhupada reduced it to half, 32 rounds. They said no, we cannot do it. Prabhupada said 16 minimum. So they accepted. But another question came up about someone is married. How many rounds should they chant? Prabhupada said, husband and wife, before they meet for procreation, they should chant 50 rounds each. That is very challenging. But if you perform that sacrifice, your child will be completely different. But I see some kids also in Delhi. Remember, the father works for the media. And so when this boy, when he was like 2.5 years or 3 years, they live far away from Delhi temple. He woke up, the disciples of Bhakti Vasudeva Swami. This boy, 2.5 years, 3 years, when it is 3 o'clock, he wakes the father up. Papa, temple. Father is forced to go and take a shower, prepare to take this boy to the temple. They grow up like that. Now they are big boys. They're living in Miami. These 3 kids, they're very, very strict. Very strict with their studies, very strict with devotional values. So there are some kids that they are a source of pride to their families. Because you find that, I remember some kids came to Greater Niagara some time ago from Florida. So I interviewed them. I asked fundamental question. The main question I asked was, what do you think is the anxiety of your parents about you? And almost all of them the same answer. Parents are thinking, I'm a devotee. What about my child? What's it going to be? What's she going to be? I said, so if you know this, what is your effort in placating the anxiety of your parents? He said, that's why they are going out for this campaign to come together so that they can have some concentrated effort in becoming involved in devotional practice. So it's a big challenge to be, in fact, sometimes people think that to be a grihastha is like a simple thing, but I tell you one thing, this is to my own evaluation, being a grihastha is more difficult than being a Swami, being a brahmachari. Except you're not really a grihastha. If you're married, it's a different thing. If you're a grihastha, and I normally will give the example of how many of you have seen the monkeys of Vrindavan in action? Seen the monkeys of Vrindavan in action? Yeah. But Vrindavan, Vraja monkeys, they're mischievous. So you're wearing glasses, they come pick up the glass and they run onto the roof. Either they chew it and throw it on you, or they're waiting for you to give them some banana, then they will trade it to give you back your glasses. So they're just there to cause mischief, to give people anxiety. So they are like bananas. You can't keep monkeys. You can't expose bananas anywhere in Vrindavan without somebody being there. If somebody's there, they will carry sticks all around waving. So, can you imagine? You have one of Raja's monkey in a room, and this room is full of ripe bunches of bananas. And you tell the monkey, do not touch any of these bananas. And if you're hungry, you want to eat any of the bananas, we will perform some ritual, then you can eat. But we'll lock you up in this room with these bananas anyway. But do not touch these bananas. And then the monkey said, yes. Achha. So that is a similar case with married people in Krishna consciousness. It's so challenging. You have the object of your love with you, and you have to perform some rituals before you touch him or her. So that's not easy. And that is why the Grihastha life is a glorious ashram. And the people who are involved in maintaining these wonderful vows, their gateway to the spiritual world is open. But it's not easy to be a Grihastha. I remember, two of my disciples in London, they were trying to get a child. So they come to meet me that, what shall we do? I said, go and read the Bhagavad-gita book. So they went to read it. Two of them have masters in osteopathic medicine. So they went to read the book, and then the wife came to me and said, Maharaj, it is very difficult. I said, yes, to be a Grihastha is very difficult. The husband later wrote me, he sent me a message on WhatsApp. He said, I'm not able to chant the 50 rounds. What to do? I said, you practice. I will not tell you otherwise what is written there. I cannot tell you otherwise. I cannot make my own rules for you. You want Krishna constant chant, follow the rules that you have read. Yes, so it's not so easy to be regulated. And this is what Krishna is requiring of us in his own words, right there, Bhagavad-gita 6:17. Yes, so there is a lot of variegatedness, there is a lot of differences. And then the differences boil down to the point that we are either not being conscious of the fact that we have to be regulated, or we deliberately ignore Krishna's instructions. So we are humans, we are meant to be self-regulated. Animals cannot be self-regulated. Animals act instinctively. And they don't have any commitment. They're not liable to any punishment if they break the rules. In fact, they don't break rules. Lions even kill humans. They don't break rules. At best, you shoot them and kill them for killing a human being. But Maharaja is not going to hold them responsible for anything, because they are animals. When you kill an ant, you kill an ant, we are held accountable. So those who advance in knowledge, they understand they can't offend anybody, they can't hurt anybody, they can't even hurt their spouses. Because you hurt your spouse, you commit Vaishnava or Vaishnavi apparat. So it's a delicate game, and we just need to practice self-regulation. Yes.
I have a question.
Okay. Just a minute.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of the youth, young men in the community, in terms of promoting positive masculinity. From a spiritual perspective, what do you suggest for young men who are coming up in the streets? Any words of wisdom that I can share with them?
Sure. And this is important, because one of my obligations as I go around the global village is also motivating children and motivating youth. And one of the things that the youth of today need more than anything else, is for the older folks to let them understand their success in life is based on career development.
Career? You said career?
Yeah.
Career.
Skills development. They have to develop skills. If the kids develop skills, their future is foreordained. If they don't develop skills and they're waiting for, it's like somebody who is, I want to get a PhD, but I want to get honorary PhD. Not everybody gets honorary PhD. I didn't get PhD by honorary program. A majority of people get it by studying. So the kids, in most cases, we find that the frustration that comes along with these street kids is that they think they don't have a future. And so they're really very desperate about life. And so I remember one drug bearer in New York. He was sent to jail, convicted for drug crimes, sent to jail, long-term jail, really long time. You know what he did with that jail term? He turned things around. In jail, he studied, got his first degree, got his master, got his PhD in New York. So by the time he got discharged from prison, he became a counselor to most of the drug barons that he knew about in Harlem and all these places. Yes, so giving some sense of inspiration, motivation to the kids about their future is the most important thing, because we can't just look at these kids and then put our eyes away and say, it's their karma. I was speaking to one lady in Mayapur. Okay. And then, I don't remember the exact thing we were talking, but then she said, he's our son scammer. I said, what do you mean by your son scammer? You have the guts to say this is your son scammer? So sometimes we have the philosophy and our heart become hard, like stone. We don't care. Something happens to somebody, we say, oh, it's her karma, it's his karma. No, we should censor our speech. We should think, if someone tells me this, will I be comfortable? Yeah, we know it's their karma. At exactly the time we should voice out that. No. And so, we should learn to be compassionate and be regulated in our speech. Yeah. So we should motivate young. You're doing a good job, but you have to add spiritual values in your job. Let them understand also that the major problem that is plaguing this planet is identity crisis. Identity crisis means we are accepting this body to be the be all and end all. So someone is thinking, I'm a white, I'm a Caucasian, I'm an Indian, I'm a Black American, or I'm African American. And so these days, some people are debunking even this very concept of African American. I was just watching Oprah interviewing one lady, and the lady said, I am an American, I'm not African American. She's a black lady. She's an American. That nobody should call her African American. I had also one congressman, I think from the southern states. Someone was interviewing him and they were calling him African American. And then he said, he's not an African American, he's an American. So that is the crisis identity we are talking about, that people identify with the skin color, and that is the beginning of all of the woes, all of the challenges we have in society. I refer to it as crisis, identity crisis.
So
We fail to understand who
what
we
should we
are.
identify with?
Let me come. We fail to understand who we are. What is the purpose of our life? Technically speaking, we are not this physical body only. This physical body is a garment. It's like a jacket we are wearing. Now we have an inner cloth, like a singlet, and that is a subtle body made up of mind, intelligence, and ego. That we find ourselves using that subtle body in our dream state. The body is lying there on the bed, and you find yourself somewhere else. That is the subtle body. Within that subtle body is the real personality, the spirit soul. That is the activator of this body. So Krishna consciousness is about the science of the soul in relationship with Krishna or God. That Lord Krishna mentions in the Gita, Mamevam so jiva loke jiva bhutansanada. We are all parts and parcels of Krishna. This is the claim of Krishna in the Gita. So if we understand that we are all part and parcel of Krishna, we are a family, Krishna family. Whether you're a Caucasian, you're an African American, you're an Indian, everybody belongs to that simple and cognitive nucleus, Krishna family. We are all spirit souls. If we understand our identity based on that value, most of the conflicts in society could be avoided. Yeah. So, motivating young people to understand their identity, their original or pristine identity, is a sine qua non, is so imperative for social development. And yes,
Maharaj, the soul in humans, animals, plants, and other species, are they the same soul, same types of soul, or is there difference in their nature? And what is the source of the soul?
Source of the soul. Okay. Source of the soul, I just mentioned, Krishna said, the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. It's emanation from Krishna, emanation from God. God is supreme spirit. We are minuscule, infinitesimal spirit souls. And we are emanations from God. Like we have the sun rays, the sun rays is coming from the sun globe. So Krishna is like the sun globe, and we are all particles of the rays. So, we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are spirit soul is coming from Krishna. This physical body made up of Bhumi, Apa, Nala, Vayu, Kam, Mana, Buddhi, Ahankar. 8 elements of water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and force. These elements are Krishna's raw materials. Lord Brahma got these raw materials from Krishna and assembled these different bodies of trees, aquatics, humans, insects. And the same soul, the soul is so small, it's so infinitesimal, 1/10,000 the tip of the air. Suppose the soul is even a material substance, 1/10,000 the tip of the air. You cannot observe it. You under the highest power of a microscope. No. So the soul is spiritual by nature, and characteristically, it is defined by dint of its blissful state, knowledgeability state, and eternity. Sat, Chit, and eternal, full of knowledge, and blissful. Now, the opposite is the case when the soul is engaged in the material body. And whether the body is body of a tree, the soul engaged in the body of a tree. I mean, sometimes I use the internet a lot for my research, because these days the digital system enables one to just sit at home and conduct their research. You don't need to go to some library. I use the internet a lot, and one of the things I see is sometimes you just open your computer and then you see all this advertisement, people who are nude or semi-nude and all these things, and they make their money through that. But you know what? They are creating their next bodies. Their next bodies are going to become trees, because trees are naked. They don't need clothes. And he practices to be naked. In this life, you are just creating your next life. So, the evolution is there, and whether the soul, in a tree, in a dog, in an elephant, in a rhino, hippopotamus, or whatever, the same infinitesimal soul, 1/10,000 the tip of the air. The same thing. It's so small, even in the atom. It's so small. Yeah, so if we understand how small the living entity is, that's a cause to be humble. Yeah? Because in most cases we identify with the body, and then we think, or we identify with the fact that, we are very big, we acquire these degrees and all these things. And you see, the more you go in your professional field, the more you can become humble. Because, okay, I go to some places and some people think, he's so lucky, he's a Swami, he's a guru, he has a PhD. But what is the luck in it? What is the great fortune in it? Because if you go, some of my friends have 3 PhDs. So that makes you to be humble. Oh yeah. So, in our devotional life, we have to think about what we can do for Krishna, not what Krishna can do for us. Because in most cases, when we endeavor, we take a step, even just by desiring, Krishna plugs in to facilitate the fulfillment of that desire. Just by desiring. Yeah. Any comments? Yes, do I answer one question? Yeah, so the soul, essentially, the soul is the same. Body of a small kid, the same. A tree, he goat, she goat, a dog, whatever. Amoeba, Oh yeah. Yes, any other comments or questions? Yes.
So Maharaj, the verse was that one who is regulated in the habits of sleeping, eating, and recreation. We see that people who are into physical fitness, they are also quite regulated with respect to sleep, with respect to what they eat, with respect to drinking and all that, because they don't smoke, they don't drink, because they have to.
Not all of them.
Yeah, not all of them. Probably. Let's say maybe from Olympics, right? Those people are quite regulated because they have to improve their performance and they have to keep their stamina. So I'm just thinking because physical fitness, when you go to the gym or you do something, it releases endorphins in your body, which is like happiness hormone. So they do experience happiness and it is quite sustainable because they do it every day. So they are able to recharge their battery. So what is the difference between the happiness that they are experiencing versus someone who is into spiritual life?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a nice question. Very nice and insightful question. Yeah, so we have situations where people are involved in some exercises. Yes, I remember. See, I did when I was younger. I did karate, Shotokan karate up to green belt, and you just love it because it gives you some sense of happiness. Each time you go for a practice, it gives you some sense of happiness. I don't know why, but it gives you that type of leverage. But the difference is that the leverage does not go deep to be able to facilitate a sustainable spiritual change. This is the difference. Sustainable spiritual change. And that sustainable spiritual change is always positive. Now, people can be doing all of these other sporting activities, work out, and they tend to be happy. But that happiness is also it's also similar to taking of drugs. Because it is materially impaired or materially motivated. The fulcrum is some material impulse that facilitates that happiness. And there's a limitation. That's another difference. Whereas spiritual happiness is inexhaustible. I mean, when you come to a particular stage, you don't even need to eat. Gorafi Sudat Babaji wouldn't eat. He would go to the bank of the river and just to be able to, mitigate some criticism, he would pick up some sand. But even the sand he eats does not cause him what is it called? Yeah. Ordinary person, you take some sand, you run the risk of going for surgery in a couple of years. So yeah, there is some type of leverage there, but there's no depth of that sensational happiness. It's like taking drugs. People taking drugs also, they have some sense of happiness. People engage in sense gratification. There's some sense of happiness, but there is no depth in that happiness. And it's not spiritually leveraging. It just conditions you to the body. Yes.
One follow-up question, Maharaj. So, what if I don't feel the need for that spiritual happiness? I'm just happy being.
That's a nice point. You don't feel the need for that spiritual happiness. Okay. Now there is another angle to this spiritual involvement, that you can be self-regulated, very highly self-regulated, and you're not involved in. You will develop a post-conventional consciousness. Now the sparks, and even your so-called material happiness come from money or from material facilities does not give you a sense of post-conventional reality. No. That is why you see the richest people are the people who commit suicide the most. Yes? So, there's a lot that goes on with the so-called wealth, mental health, depletion is there. And that is why you see that a number of these rich people, they resort to drugs to try to sustain their so-called happiness. But then their mental health deteriorates because it's an artificially positioned on the mind. Okay, so this is how the human condition navigates its way to degradation. Yeah, I mean, I can align with what you're saying because I've seen that. I remember when I was a kid in high school, I was very much intrigued with football. Because it just keeps me happy, And every time my dad knew, and he will always buy me football. But then when after school, I don't come back home on time until evening because I'll be on the field playing football. So yeah, playing football gave me happiness. But it does not create a real depth in spiritual transformation. You still have a big gap in your life, a gap, which will necessitate some research and actions on some topic that will bridge that gap, and that is the devotional culture that we have brought. Thank you. Nice.
Yeah, Maharaj, a follow-up question on the similar line. So you said that there is a gap in life, but the problem is the gap is not yet realized. So there would be a point when the gap would be realized, but at this point it may take month, year, decades, but that gap is not realized yet.
So
I mean, it's a general question I'm asking because I have seen people asking similar question, and maybe they are in a happy phase of life or they have not seen those hardships or something.
I mean, it's a similar thing that the boy who wrote me from Bergen mentioned, They said, we're fine with illicit sex, we're fine with the gambling, we're fine with, eating. What's the problem with you? And here, the other boy in Edison, he told me his friend says, don't do this spiritual life. Come on, just buy a smartphone, buy the latest model of the iPhone, and you'll be happy. There are so many applications there to kill your time, to waste your time. But the same thing is that boy is recommending. It has made so many students to fail out from college. The iPhone. Because no self-regulation. The point you raise is also very...
So my question was how to explain then, because how to explain if gap is not realized, it is not realized. I mean, it is fact of life.
Now, let me come in here. Now, I went to Poland, and before I went to India, I went to Poland. So the president is a cancer doctor, and they have a daughter, 16 years old girl at the time. The girl was chanting when she was younger. When she became adolescent, she stopped chanting. So the mother and the father, they were in anxiety. So the mom told me, Maharaja, please talk to this girl. So one day I decided to speak with her. The mom was by the kitchen, and the grandmother of the girl was also in the sitting room, the father's mom. And so I was asking her, why you stop chanting? Your parents are in anxiety. Your mom said I should speak with you. She said she stopped chanting because she's not having any taste. A genuine reason. Genuine reason. I'm not having any taste. Why you ask me to chant? So one question I asked her, I said, do you have taste in going to school? The mother busted out laughing. I said, Mataji, why are you laughing? You said that you speak to your daughter. We're in a conversation and you're by the corner laughing. She said, Maharaj, you hit the nail right on the head. I said, explain what you mean. So she said that, this girl, each time she comes back from school, she comes straight to my room. Before she goes to her room, she comes straight to my room and go to insult me there, say all sort of nonsense. You send me to school to go and suffer, and you're here sleeping, eating. She said, if I didn't go to school, would your father, who is a medical doctor, come to marry me? Come on. We all went to school. We're part of the same system. So, I asked her, do you have taste in going to school? She said, no. I said, so why are you going to school anyway? Because you don't have a taste going to school. She said, I'm going to school because of my future. I said, oh. Here also, you should go on chanting. In the future, you will have the taste. There are stages in this chanting process. You pass through the untasty stage, you go to the tasteful stage. So just like you don't have taste in going to school, school is very bitter. In fact, going to school is very horrible, It's very horrible. Anybody who's been to school will tell you. I remember when I was a kid, I refused to go to school. My teacher would organize the students and they come because my parents' home were close to the school. And they would come. In the morning, all my classmates, they would come with my teacher, playing music and all this and singing school songs. Hey, we want you, we want you. That's how they motivated me to come. But people don't like going to school. It's bitter. So this girl, she said she's going to school because of her future. So I said, this mantra also you're chanting, in the future you will have the taste. Go on with the chanting. That's how I got her convinced to start going with the chanting. So the gap in our lives is such that we have this spiritual bankruptcy. That's the gap in our life. We're not happy. We don't have sustainable happiness. We don't have a leverage in terms of our values, and those cause us a lot of setbacks. We feel some vacuum in our life, whether we like it or not. That's why people resort to smoking, drinking, and all this type of things. So that gap, it is a spiritual process that can heal that wound. And that spiritual process is the process of bhakti. And people take the bhakti, their life becomes transformed. We've seen the bhakti change even pot heads to sadhus. We see that in America. Prabhupada came, he met all of these, most of the people he met in New York were hippies. Most of them are now Goswamis. So when the gap is there, we become reckless, we become unstable, we are not focused. And our mission on the planet is not fulfilled until we get into that system of accomplishing that spiritual goal in pursuit of developing Krishna consciousness. We cannot be happy sustainably. So yeah, that gap, people are looking for, everyone is actually looking for Krishna. It's just people are looking for Krishna in different ways. Putting their faith in different places that may not yield appropriate expected results, expected outcomes. That's why we don't feel satisfied in this world. We try this thing, we try another one. So the Krishna consciousness creates that balance and bridges that gap in our lives. You see that the pure devotees, they are like octet electrons. Those who study physics and chemistry, they know the electrons For the old electrons, they don't need to share any anything with another electron. They're octets. They're satisfied. They're like admirals. Yeah. Self-satisfied. We are not self-satisfied. We're not even self-reliant. How can we be self-satisfied? We are interdependent. Again, that gap is there. And when we try to dig into our spiritual identity, when we practice the chanting of the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we'll begin to develop that taste for spiritual revamping of our spiritual values. Otherwise, we are not satisfied with our lives. Does it? Let's ask some questions. All right. So, in the absence of any other comments or questions, and if you're feeling shy to ask your questions, you can email me v system108@outlook.com. To the proper